Welcome to Talent Experience Live,
your weekly look at all of the hot topics in HR.
People are 28% more productive when they use vacation time.
Involving themselves very deeply in diversity and inclusion efforts.
Ramping up college recruiting and career fairs.
Artificial intelligence helps automate certain tasks.
50% more applications. How do you make your company culture still stand out?
What does that look like in this new virtual world?
Welcome everyone to another episode of Talent Experience Live, or TXL as the slang has caught on. Of course, your weekly look at all things HR, talent acquisition, talent management, and Natalie, mine and your favorite, HR technology. So super excited to have everyone joining us here today on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the full gamut. As always, an exciting topic today. Natalie, what exactly are we going over today?
Yeah, so today, Devin, we are going over campaigns, which is near and dear to my heart. I love talking about campaign strategy with customers here at Phenom. And we're going to go over how that strategic outreach using HR technology can actually help the talent acquisition space bring employees back to the work space quickly and at scale, right? So, in doing some research this week, we've learned that 70% of the global workforce is made up of passive talent who aren't actively job searching. And the remaining 30% are active job seekers. And this means that you have to actively reach out in order to fill your vacancies, right? You can't just kind of wait for people to filter in and start applying to these jobs. So how can you do that? You can do that really easily and really thoughtfully through campaigns.
100%. And it's so fitting that we are talking about campaigns in the midst of an election year, right? I think of political campaigns, the whole nine. We are about to be overrun by them in the coming months. But of course, we're not talking politics. That's not what this show is about. It is specifically around talent acquisition campaigns and talent management campaigns. And 81% of candidates believe that employers continuously communicating status updates to them would greatly improve experience as a whole. So being that this is Talent Experience Live, a great way to actively communicate is through campaigns. And this is specifically important across the childcare industry as schools begin to reopen and reclose and reopen again as the trend seems to continue. And the stakes have truly never been higher. So this is all about campaigns. I mention the point of childcare in schools because today we have a very special guest. Natalie, who do we have joining us?
Yeah, so Derek Murphy-Johnson is going to be joining us. He's Senior Manager of Talent Acquisition at KinderCare. He is a longtime customer at Phenom. We just adore him. So welcome, Derek.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Derek, I jumped on your LinkedIn, and I know we talked about this a little bit in the back half in the green room, if you will, before we kicked off the show, giving you compliments on a wonderful beard and how it's grown from a spectacular mustache. So first of all, compliments to that. But the experience, absolutely. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your professional experience and background, doing a LinkedIn deep dive, as I always do. I noticed you have a super robust background in recruiting and talent acquisition. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks. I know I look so young, but I've actually been in talent acquisition in HR for over 20 years. I actually started off in sales and marketing for a resort company, and my boss got acquired by the competition. And she brought me with her and a small group of people. And she surprised me after I agreed to follow her. And she was like, by the way, you're no longer going to be doing sales and marketing. We're building out a huge call center for the Southwest of the country, and you're going to be staffing that from top to bottom. And so I was like, what's HR? So like a lot of people in talent acquisition, that was the start of my career. And I spent a lot of time in hospitality, specifically in the resort space. So I did everything from call center agents, staffing a 500-person call center, doing the training, the recruiting. Back then, we didn't have recruitment marketing. It was not a thing. But I used to do like image ads in the old employment rags, and would put in call for Cindy, call for George, and whoever knew, that was my source tracking. So that's how long I've been in recruiting. And after hospitality, I got interested in healthcare and transitions into emergency medicine, and fire for a national organization. And that's really where I cut my teeth. Company was going through a lot of growth and change. So I essentially acted in an HRBP role where I did employee investigations. I did a little bit human resources management, but focused on talent management across the spectrum. And then I did not like being in 100-degree weather in Phoenix. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. It's freaking hot.
Was it because of the beard?
Yeah.
Was that potentially the reason it was so warm? Was it from the beard?
No. So this is a requirement to live in Portland, Oregon. You have to have a beard. Lumberjack is a necessity. No, I did not have a beard in Phoenix, thankfully. But at 10 o'clock at night, you would go outside and it was 105 degrees. And growing up in the Midwest, I missed the greenery. Had a lot of friends from both the Midwest and Arizona that moved to Oregon. Came up here and I started off in corporate recruiting with Banfield Pet Hospital. And I joined them a few years after Mars acquired Banfield Pet Hospital. And I was the only corporate recruiter at the time. And I joined at the time with incredible growth for the organization. And I placed over 600 people in 2 years. Growing departments, talent acquisition went from 10 people to 75 in a year. And I built corporate comms from the ground up, tripled IT size. And so I did that for almost 4 years and kind of filled every role from the C-suite down to call center and field technicians across the country in KinderCare Company. In KinderCare education, we're the largest childcare provider. We have 2,100 locations across the country and almost 40,000 employees. And they contacted me about 5 years ago when they were going through a cultural transformation. And I was actually hired to lead the corporate recruiting function. And I did that for 4 years. And my team, we really rebuilt the corporate office and brought in fresh talent and really identified both the cultural fit of where our organization was at the time and where we were going, and bringing in the right talent to help grow the business. And I did that, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And I still felt this draw to be in recruitment marketing and really telling the story and really interested in that candidate experience and that candidate journey. And I pitched the opportunity where I could be marketing for talent acquisition. We could reduce our spend. And around that time, Phenom launched the CRM product, which I was in both lanes. So I was corporate recruiting, and I was also utilizing the CRM to do campaigns, retargeting really at that point, to really show value in what I could do.
Yeah. So with that all in mind, can you talk a little bit about some of the TA challenges that KinderCare is facing right now and kind of what the strategy is around that?
Yeah, Devin, you mentioned it earlier, with COVID just changing everything that we all know. One of the first things that we had to do as an organization for the safety of our employees and our families was we had to close all of our centers except for those that were supporting our essential frontline workers. And that was a very difficult decision for the organization. We had never done that before. And so going down from 2,100 to about 300 centers was a big challenge for us. As we had started to reopen, it was the changing regulations, and within childcare industry, every state has a different regulation. And at times there could be different regulations at a county level too, depending on some of the states. And so being able to bring in outside consultants and partnering with the CDC, our organization came up with health and safety measures. And as we started opening up, our corporate communications team did an amazing job of sending out culture campaigns to our employees that were on furlough. Our operation managers and just department managers did a good job of sending out information to our employees. But our CDs, which are the individuals that manage our childcare centers, they went home operating under pre-COVID health and safety and just everything. And basically overnight, our organization changed how we operated, how many children we could have in our centers, what that looked like. And so as we were sending that message out, as states opened to allow us to start serving our families again, it was really important for us to not just get our employees back to work, but make sure that they were informed of the changes that we were doing to ensure that their safety, the safety of our children, and the safety of our families. And so as we opened up our centers in waves as the states opened, and I partnered with our corporate communications team and our operations team, and I sent out emails on behalf of our group presidents. And it was just hey, how are you doing? We know that this is crazy. We are here for you, and we want to first make sure that you and your family are safe and secure. And secondly, we want you to know these are all the things, and this is how we've invested to protect your safety, not just now, but in the future as well. And so I would send those messages out right before we contacted our employees to let them know that they were going to be able to come back to work. And so that was just to help some of that initial fear that they would have of coming back into a center.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on something really important, which is not only the communication, but the empathy behind the communication, right? Just the fact that this is such a crazy time. I'm trying not to say unprecedented. I'm so sick of that word.
I don't have a drink.
Yeah, I know, right? But just letting people know that, while we're all behind a business, right, that we see the human that's also struggling behind it, right, and all of that worry and concern. So that's awesome to hear that you've been communicating that way with some of your employees and returning to work and things like that. How about candidates? What's the communication been like for candidates?
So as we closed our centers, the first thing that we did was we took all of our applicants that were not in a to be considered phase, and those that were in a to be considered phase, and I sent out a large email blast to them all, and I was super transparent with them, and I was like, listen, we don't know what we're facing at this point. For the safety of everybody, we can't operate the way that we were. And so we just sent out a very basic message. Please stay safe. We're going to do the same on our end. We don't know when we're going to be in communication with you next, but we will be in communication. And so we sent that message out to candidates and got a great response. And then slowly, as we have identified the locations that we're going to be closing, made sure that we closed the requisitions right away. And anybody that didn't get that initial large message that I sent out, as we were closing on the requisitions, we made sure that everybody got that message. And then put the same message out on our employer channels. And then Phenom was an amazing partner, and you guys came out with some COVID response tools. And so we turned on our COVID banner on our career site, linking that up to our up-to-date health and safety practices.
So for those of you just joining us, this is Talent Experience Live. We're obviously coming to you live. We're joined by Derek Murphy Johnson from KinderCare, talking all things campaigns. Derek, we talked about the unprecedented, now you can grab your drink if you wanted to, the unprecedented circumstance that we're in. But obviously it's different for everyone. Right. So when you look at how the workforce has changed across the country, and you think of, there are situations where some individuals may not be able to return to work because they have to take care of their own children, or their own children are being homeschooled. How are you recovering talent quickly and at scale as more of your schools and daycares open up, but potentially there are other school districts, or they may have to take care of loved ones and so on and so forth?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's actually been, I would say, before COVID, the biggest question was, what is it going to look like after COVID? And I think coming after COVID, it's like, okay, not only are these schools open, but as schools are reopening, they're reopening in phases. And so we may be at a lower ratio, and then a few months later, we may need to hire again. So our talent acquisition department, we're pretty fortunate because in addition to recruiting operations in my world, HRAS also sits in talent acquisition. And so HRAS is a big thought partner. We work a lot. I speak with them several times a day. And so we'll take a look, and we'll look at traffic patterns, pulling up the Phenom analytics to see where people are coming in, reviewing their career site, taking a look at our previous applicants for like the past year. We have an assessment with our teacher staff. And so looking at people that haven't completed the assessment. So I have created a few different templates that I use depending on how soon that we're going to be recruiting. So I have 3 different email templates that I've created within the Phenom CRM that I send out. But one of the things that we've found that is the most beneficial is the SMS tool. So in some of the areas where either prior to COVID, it had just been a challenge for us, either due to it being a really rural environment and not having a lot of talent pools to fish from, or just a lot of competitors in the same area, like Seattle, New York, some of the metro areas. And so being able to do a text blast with somebody's information on the other end. So in the Detroit area, or Cincinnati, I can't remember which one, but we were having some challenges recruiting some teachers. And I did a text blast to some people that had applied to the positions in the area in the past few months right before COVID. And out of it, I think I sent it out to maybe 800 employees or 800 candidates. And from that, I got 510 people that had went in and updated their applications and applied to new positions. We had over 55 interviews, and right now we're at 40 offers or people that have been hired from one text blast.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's amazing. And it's interesting you bring that up because, I've been listening to my podcast and staying informed, and I know that just childcare as a whole is becoming super competitive. A lot of people are looking for in-home nurses, teachers, kind of, babysitters, if you will. So I completely understand the importance of trying to get to them quickly, and SMS is probably the best way to do that. When you're talking about sending a text to someone, are they lengthy text messages? Kind of, what does that look like?
No, it's really short messages. Actually, I am getting ready I have 2 scheduled today to go out, and one of them we're getting ready to hire. We're not hiring. So one of them is just checking in and saying, hey, Devin, you applied at a position here in the past year. We know COVID has changed everything. We wanted to let you know that we had invested in our health and safety, and we're proud to announce that we're going to be opening up in 2 weeks. So part of the text campaigns is letting people know that we are opening up and we are taking care of our employees, and then sending out a link to our updated health and safety. So that's a very short, condensed text. When it's action oriented, when we want somebody to reply to a hiring manager or a recruiter, that message is, hey, Devin, hope all is well with everything going on with COVID. We wanted to let you know we're hiring preschool teachers or lead teachers in your area. Click on this email to find out more information. So very short information. We don't want to overwhelm anybody because the intent is not to kill them with information. The intent is just to intrigue them and get them interested to reply back to us.
Derek, my boss is watching. You should have never said that I had applied for those positions. I could be in hot water now. But no, so we talked about email. We talked about SMS. Are there any other tools that you're using to really boost your campaigns? Are you using any video or the traditional phone call?
Absolutely. So in the both our employees, as they were returning back to the classrooms, as well as our new employees, we're showing our children in the classroom. One of the most recent campaigns that I put in, one of our teachers had a picture of kids doing the little elbow greeting and a couple other kids doing like the foot greeting. And so it was like a new cool way to say hi. And so just being able to include the culture within your emails. If you're an employer in this state, everybody knows that you're going to be hiring. It's not a surprise that you're going to be hiring post-COVID as more states are opening up. So to your point about like, especially in our world for teachers, to your point, like now our competition isn't just other people within the industry, it's my next door neighbors, it's people down the street from us, it's churches, it's other organizations that are trying to find a solve for.
We lost Eric there for a second, but it's funny that he mentioned the. We got him back.
Oh,
Derek, I think we lost you for a second, but before I hand it over, it was spectacular. The one thing that I wanted to say was I think it's awesome that you're using up-to-date content to send out rather than just old video. When you mentioned the elbow greetings and the kind of kick greetings, Tom, who's in the back pulling the levers right now, so thank you, Tom, for keeping this show up and running. We always talk about how it makes us cringe when we see stock photos of a bunch of people gathered around a boardroom table. So that is it's super, super awesome that you guys are doing that. And I know, Natalie, you have another question as well.
Yeah, so I think that leads a little bit into the question that I have around what else you're doing to kind of optimize campaigns and you're communicating to adjust that rehiring strategy. So I think obviously one of those ways would be to make sure that you're using relevant imagery and videos and things like that. But kind of what are some other things that you're looking at in terms of the results that you're seeing and what you may or may not be adjusting moving forward?
Yeah, so I would say for our rebounds, we weren't really looking at the metrics for our existing employees. But what we're focusing on for our applicants and people that we're trying to hire is open rate. And I'm super proud that like I've been above 30% open rate for the past few weeks. And my click-through rate, I don't have my numbers right in front of me, but my click-through rate is actually continually to increase. So we're doing some A/B testing right now within campaigns. I have one campaign that's to new applicants that has a little bit more buzzwords, not unprecedented, but new abnormal and some other things, and more of a focus on that, where others is more of a focus on the culture. And so, so I want to see which one's going to perform better. So I think we're looking at all the different metrics of the click-through and everything like that. But then we're also looking at like, even if it's not a hire, that's still a success. So if you haven't applied for a position in a year and I send you an email and you log on to your profile on ATS and you search for a job, that's a win for me because you may not have been thinking about KinderCare education, but based on that activity, you're not going to be thinking about us. And so my HRIS partner and I, we're now getting a little bit more involved in the phenom analytics, and now we're going to like get a little bit sneakier and start retargeting those people, and then we're building out like basically a waterfall based on candidate activity from my emails.
Amazing. I love to hear that so much. So I do. I just think it's so great. And I think so that kind of leads me into my next thing. So anybody who's watching right now and thinking about really starting to be more strategic in their campaigning strategy, what are some pointers or some best practices that you could kind of share in all of this that's really worked well for you, or the maybe top 3 things that people should be focusing on when they're thinking of starting to campaign?
Be brave. I would say don't worry about what other people are doing. I think it's good to be aware of what other people are doing, but what works for one organization won't work for other organizations. So be brave and don't be afraid to test something new. Get feedback is the other thing. So I have now started to share not only the results of the campaign, but I'm also now showing what messages are going out to candidates. And I'm getting feedback from our talent acquisition managers, and then recently sharing some of this information with like our leadership team. We just had a great session with our IT leadership team talking about candidate experience and what we need to say and how we need to say it. And so from that information, I'm gathering information and I'm having follow-up conversations with our IT leadership team and their brand champions of saying, okay, thank you for looking at this information. This has now created a whole other workflow and a whole other project. So I would say, be brave, share your information and share your cards with your internal partners. Let them know what you're doing and celebrate the victories. Like I said, with recruitment marketing, it isn't all about the hire. It's people going back into the ATS and updating their profile. People applying for new positions is like the cherry on top. But celebrate the small victories and look at your open rates. Look at your click-throughs. Without you, maybe those people weren't aware of your organization was back open and hiring again.
100%, Derek. When you think about the applications, which is typically overlooked, those are individuals who want to work for your organization. That means that you've done the right thing, portraying your company culture and really getting the message out there that people were able to find the job, right? That's half the battle, is people looking for a job and finding something that they're willing to apply for. Now, I know you talked about A/B testing, and a question came through in the comments that I wanted to ask specifically. I think it ties in with A/B testing. Is, can you comment on whether your campaigns with video are performing better than those without? Thank you so much, Jennifer Thomas, for the comment. If you have any other comments or questions, please feel free to drop them in there.
That's a great question. I actually don't send out messages without video. I find that video is very engaging. So I don't send out messages with only images and links. So I want to be able to respond to that.
No, that probably explains your 30% open rate and your click-through rates being so high, because video is king. That's why we're on here, doing a live session with video. Derek, this has been absolutely spectacular. I know you said be brave. If someone is on the live stream right now and they are interested at a career with KinderCare, where should they go and how do they get in touch with you to find out how you grow such a spectacular beard?
So if you're interested in working for KinderCare Education, we hire teachers, field leadership, as well as corporate employees. You can visit us at kcecareers.com. Also, KCE Careers on most of your social channels, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then you can connect with me if you're brave. I do swear a lot on Twitter, so FYI, I want to throw that out there. But you can follow me on 503 Recruiter on Twitter. And then also, I'm happy to connect with anybody on LinkedIn. I have worked in a lot of states. Like I said, I've been in talent acquisition for over 20 years. If I'm connected to any employer or hiring manager and you're out there looking for a job, not necessarily with KinderCare Education, please let me know if I can make a introduction to help you find your next job.
Derek, one last thing I wanted to say. I was watching Gary Vee videos this morning to get me amped up for my live session because I think he does it so well. And you brought up the point of being brave and trying new things, and that's something that I know that he stresses. And also, he curses a lot. So you definitely have some commonalities there, which he's doing something right for those people that don't like him, right? He's on all of our channels, but he's always very good at giving parting shots or any words of wisdom. So I'll hand the floor over to you for any parting shots before we wrap up this TXL show.
Yeah, I would say COVID brings in a whole new era for talent acquisition and talent attraction. So this now is more for us to show exactly the business impact for talent acquisition, specifically recruitment, marketing, and then talent attraction. I think we've been a buzzword for a while. So this is now a way that we can show the business that we can actually make an impact. We are not a cost center. We are not a cost center. We are a business function. And we have a direct impact to the business outcome by bringing in talent to the organization. So don't sell yourself short.
Awesome. Absolutely not a cost center. Human resources, HR for short, it's humans, right? And they are a resource to you to leverage. And Derek, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll catch you soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Derek.
Be safe. I think another successful episode, Natalie. What do you think?
I think so. It's always a pleasure to talk to Derek. He's such a wealth of information. He and I have nerded out quite a few times on email campaigns and, driving audiences and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just so great to just pick his brain for a little while and get all those best practices out of him. It's awesome.
Yeah, and campaigns are such a huge aspect of talent acquisition and talent management and talent marketing right now. So it's awesome to hear his successes. I think my biggest takeaway from this was put video in everything, right? He's got a 30% open rate. Put any video that you have at this point. If it's a music video, I think you should put it in there.
And it doesn't need to be overproduced, right? And this is something that I impart to all of our customers here at Phenom is it can be a cell phone video. It doesn't matter. It's the interactive content that for whatever reason, it just resonates better with people and you're going to get more people opening your emails and interacting. So yes.
Could be a video of your dog freaking out, saying he's so excited to talk to you. But anyway, now thank you so much again. Actually, I think you have off next week. I have off next week, so I think Tom will join us. But definitely tune in. Subscribe to our social channels. We always have some great information up there. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, the whole nine. We look forward to seeing you next week, and thanks again.
Hi, everyone.